I think you can unmute yourself and yeah, that's good. If you say something, we can all see you.
Hello, sir.
So Ramkumar,
Hello, sir.
hello Ramkumar.
Yeah.
So I know that personally, I know that you're having a great time during this lockdown. It has been I think a blessing in disguise for you, even though it is a very tough time for many people. For you, it has been you converted. Like I think this is what tennis players do. We take the situation and then we try to convert it to your advantage. And you've done this. Can you talk a little bit about your activities during this lockdown?
So yeah, like you said, sir, yeah, we don't get.
Ram, there's some disturbance. Are you wearing a Bluetooth headphone?
Yeah. Can you?
No, it is not very clear. Maybe you can just go into the phone. This thing that should be enough. I think the Bluetooth headphone is not very clear. Or switch it off and switch it on.
Can you hear me now, sir?
No, it's not okay.
No.
Nope.
No. Okay. So.
We have normal headphones and
With wire?
That'll be much more clearer for sure. I think Balu also faced the same difficulty. He was using a there you are.
No. Sir?
Yeah, I can hear you very clearly now.
So, sir, like you said, yeah, this lockdown never, we are not home this much because we play a lot of tournaments, and I think it's a really good break. It's like a blessing in disguise, like you said. And I've been trying to do a lot of fitness with my friends. We have like a core session every day in the evening with all the fellow tennis players. And also I've been trying to do 1 hour of fitness by myself with the training which my coach has given. So I mean, it's a good break in a way because we travel around 30 to 40 weeks a year, and it's the road is always tough. So it's actually a good break which has come.
30 to 40 weeks for other tennis players and 40 plus weeks for Ramkumar, isn't it, Ram?
Yeah, agreed, sir.
Yeah, talking about that session, I think you're doing it on the same Zoom app, and it's a free app that you can use it for like 40 minutes, and you can add many other people who you can just come together as one group, and you do it at your home, but you're still doing it like in a group. The energy of a group is still there, but you're doing it at your home.
Exactly. The motivation is also there when you do it in a group. Everyone is pushing each other, and it's always laughs around. I mean, it's a fun thing, which I was thinking, and it came out well, and everyone are joining. The more people are joining as the days are going, and it's kind of fun, which we are all looking forward to every day.
Okay. So I also know that some celebrities are joining in, but the coaches who are here, there are like 200 plus coaches who come in to listen to your talk. They might not know what happened. Can you talk about the celebrities who joined in and how things went?
So yeah, we actually started off with 6 to 7 people, with Manish, Abhinav, and all the players from our tennis center in Chennai, sir. And then slowly, it gradually increased. Bobs came in a lot. Bobs has been coming. Rohan Bopana has been coming every day. Leander said he's going to come soon. Sania has been coming very often. Yuki has joined our group from yesterday. Oh. So I mean, Arjun Kade is in it, and all the upcoming women's players like Meika Yadav, Meg Jain, Satvika Sama. There's so many girls also around. So I mean, I think it's a good thing we've done. We pulled everyone together, and everyone is staying fit even during the times at home. I've been trying to keep changing the exercises a lot, and trying to see a lot of videos with what I learned, and I mean, try to make it interesting with the ball, with the water bottle, trying as much as I can to have fun with the fitness also.
Oh, that's fantastic, Ram. So the credit goes to you for initiating this, and just makes me think, if you had just thought to yourself that that, okay, I'm going to do my exercise, I don't care about anybody else, then just imagine every day you have to kind of initiate yourself, motivate yourself to do this, and it's going to be a big drag. But when you form this, there's so much of positive energy that you, and even when you do it, you keep pushing yourself more and more, and you're getting better and better every day. And you're also attracting so much of, other people that again more and more good energy.
Yes, absolutely, sir. I think, a very important thing is to have positive vibes. I think that's one of the key things which I feel is important, when you're playing or when you're doing anything, when you're on a court, off court, whatever you are off court is what you are on court. So I feel everything is connected. And I mean, yeah, like you said, when you're doing it alone, also there are it's not that easy when you're doing it. But I do 1 hour of fitness with the schedule with my coach gives. But I being a tennis player, of course, want to also like help the other juniors who are coming up, and try to give them what I have learned. Bobs is coming in. Bobs is teaching a few new exercises. Sanya is coming in, inspiring all of us. I mean, there's something, when I was very young, which didn't happen. So I'm trying to, I tried to set it up. Everyone, coordinated really well. I keep getting texts every day from new people, and I'm very happy. They join, even if I don't know them like really well. I'm more than happy for all of them to join. And I mean, that's how it keeps growing, and now we're up to like 50, 60 people. So I think if everyone comes in like this, helps each other out, I mean, you can learn from everyone. Even the juniors have a lot of things, good things. I mean, it's a give and take, I feel, and that's how we all improve, and we can keep improving.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that, Ram. Also, I don't want anyone to miss some statements that you made in between. I think those are fantastic statements to make. You said that, what you are off court is what you're on court. You can't just change your personality. If you're positive and giving and, this kind of person, you're going to be the same thing on court as well. You're going to feel the same positivity. And it's not something like, oh, you just get onto the court and you want to feel confident. And when you come out, you just, not a very nice guy to be with. Like Vishwadeep mentioned initially, that you're a guy who's smiling and positive always, which is fantastic.
Thank you very much, sir. And also, to have people like all of you around, also, there's a blessing for me to have the right team around me wherever I go, whichever part of the world I am. You have your friends, you have people around you. Let it be the referees, let it be anyone, the families who are there, who you keep going often. I mean, all these small things, I think it matters a lot end of the day.
That's good. So Ram, I know you're doing this physical thing, but you also do anything for your mental toughness during this lockdown?
So yeah, I try to meditate, so whenever I can. I try to meditate for 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. I think it's really important, because it really gives you the peace of mind. And I know that you've also been doing it, and you've taught all of us like to pursue it. So I mean, I've been doing the basic meditation, and I think it really opens up your mind and makes you think broader, and you have a fresh start for every day, which is really, really important.
Okay. So I would love to go more into that, but today's presentation is going to be none other than our own Nandan Bal, and it is going to be a revelation, like I mentioned yesterday. It is going to be on strategy and tactics. Okay. So I think we can talk a little bit about strategy and tactics so that it stays within the.
Is Nandan sir in this video?
He's not here in this video. Maybe he's watching us.
Okay.
And he will come in once we finish with this conversation.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's go back to your early years. You were tutored by T. Chandrasekhar.
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the early years and with your coach? And
I first started tennis with Chandra sir. Who taught me and I'm really, grateful for him for all the help he's done and he's been doing, and he's a really, really, nice person, and I mean, the bond is always nice, and I feel he's helped me a lot. He's always said, you have the game, and if you see me hit my forehand, then you would know I train with Chandra sir. So I mean, it's like, everything just connected. I feel, I was really during that time. I was listening to him during my young days, and I mean, every small input. No, madam, Papa. இங்க இருக்கு phone. One second. I feel, every small input which he gave, really made a big difference in my tennis career. And, we were just working a lot on, the specifics on the technique. And when I was young, and I played a lot of tournaments, from being a young kid, and even now, I like competing. And I think it's a source of belief he gave me that, I can compete with anyone, and, I can play and I can win. So I think that is really important. And of course, he also came with me this year, and for the Australian Open, and it was a really good support for me. And uh, it's a good feeling to be around someone, who's taught you tennis and who's still your coach. And also, I want to thank you, sir, because every time when I come to CTC, you've always been really nice, and I enjoy playing there with Manish and everyone under your eye.
Thank you, Ram. So when you're talking about Chandra, it's also like what we mentioned earlier. He's also a very positive person to be around. He's so much fun, and he makes things light for you off the court. Takes away the pressure, all these things. So when you were playing in your younger years, the same thing coming up. What we had the conversation last time. Your game style was more of a counter punching style. Yeah. So you were staying at the back, grinding a lot, and picking out the weaknesses of the opponents, and you were thinking how they are thinking and trying to counter all those stuff. And then at one stage, you converted to a very aggressive player. Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, when I was young, to be honest, like what I knew was to counter attack, and just to stay in the baseline, keep a lot of balls in. I think keeping a lot of balls in for any player is a key, because that gives you the confidence. And I was taught that way, and I used to fight a lot every point, and I used to try even when I was down, double break, because it really didn't matter. Like, I think the key is to compete really hard, and fight for every point, which I was doing in the young age, and which I will always do. But over the years, I think I started playing aggressive. I've learned the way to get in, the learned how to get from that zone 2 to the volley position. I mean, I've learned a lot of things, and I've been learning a lot, and I've been watching a lot of match videos. I've been trying to improvise on the way I play. I've been seeing which is working for me with the videos, like can be serve and volley, can be chip and charge on a break point. It's always good to have options. So I think as a player, I felt that I was able to serve and volley a lot. I went to Spain when I was 15. The Tamil Nadu Tennis Association supported me, and I was there for 2 to 3 years, full years, and that was a very tough few years for me, but was my best years also. I learned a lot of things. I worked a lot on my game, morning and night, a lot of fitness, a lot of tournaments, futures. I used to go, I still remember I used to play like 45 weeks of futures there in Spain, like the futures. So we used to go on a Saturday, Friday there, play Saturday, maximum I would win Saturday, maybe lose Sunday, come back, again train 4 days, go back again Friday. So this was happening for 40 weeks in a row, like, up and down. And I think it's, and in out of 20 weeks, maybe I qualify in 1 week, but first round no chance. I used to get killed. So I think these years were the most important years, I feel, because it made me strong as a player, as a person, and I liked that. I enjoyed that feeling, and it made me push more and more. And I think slowly when I started playing, like when I was 3 years back or 4 years back, no, maybe 5 years back, when I played the same tournament and when I won it, it was a sign of relief. Like, I felt, I'm there, I could see the difference. So, I mean, I feel the most important thing is all about hard work, and, you need to believe in yourself. And every match I lost there, I took it as a learning. I listened to my coaches. You know, there was no regret that I lost. Like I was really, sad that I lost for that day. But inside it was burning. I was, in a nice way. I was feeling, I can get there. Few points here there. I used to lose the match 7-6 in the third. And but as a person, I improved, and as a player also, I learned a lot of things. Staying alone in Sanchez Casal. I mean. It's not only about tennis, like you.
Okay. So I'm sure you're still burning inside when you do stuff.
Yeah.
Also we wish that we have, like like what you said, we just could travel, go play a tournament, come back and train for next few days, and then again go play another future. Come on, being in India, that's one of the biggest disadvantages. You don't have tournaments that many. And also, if you want to travel outside to play, can people understand so many other difficulties, but they don't understand certain difficulties that we really, really face. And one of those things is the passport, the Indian passport, and the difficulty in getting a visa to go to a country.
True, very true, sir.
Can you talk about that? Like how you have to travel somewhere, but then you have to come back and apply and go to another place. Can you talk about
this? I totally agree, sir. This visa is a very tough thing. But we kind of we get the visas wherever you are, but it's really difficult. It can be like 2 days left, and my passport is still stuck somewhere. I'm just hoping that it comes back. But I think the most important visa is Schengen, US, and UK. If you have these three visas, you're okay. And luckily, I've been getting the Schengen for like 4 years, because I've had a lot of Schengen visas. So I've been lucky. But it's very, very true, sir, that getting the visas is a big difficult thing.
Getting it the first time is the tough one, like the US or the Schengen visa. But once you get it, the second time is not too difficult. But the only problem is when you have to apply, and then it takes time. So if you're playing a match and if you don't know if the passport is going to be there.
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. When I went, with Joshi sir, the first time to Nick, it's in K. Joshi sir, first time to Nick Bollettieri. We all submitted our passports together, and my passport didn't come back. It came the night, when we were supposed to fly that evening, luckily. And then I flew with all the others. So it was, it's tough time. Yeah.
Okay, so I have this question for you. As an adult competing in the futures and the challenges, you started adapting a very aggressive style, whereas in the early years you were playing a counter-punching style. Now my question is, because a lot of people misunderstand a few things, I want to make things very, very clear. Okay, so you played this aggressive style. Now if you go back 10 years, okay, and this is a style you're going to be using when you get into the pro circuit, would you have continued playing the same style from that age, or do you think what you did was right? You keep doing what you were doing, and then you change, adapt according to what is required.
So like about me, sir, like when I was very young, I wouldn't change anything, because that's what I was taught. And as a player, I learned by myself playing. I explored new things, like serving and volleying was helping me, chipping and charging was helping me. So I wouldn't change anything. Like I've stuck to my counter punching game when I was young, and I'm still, when I'm serving, I'm trying to stay aggressive, trying to go to the net, trying to mix it up. But when I'm returning, I still have that, sometimes I use that, kind of counter attacking game, just to put the ball high, mix up a couple of slices, stay in the point when I don't feel it. So I still use that, but I feel that I wouldn't change anything, like when I was young, and because I wouldn't have had the power to serve and volley when I was 14.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had the power, believe myself, that I could do a chip and charge on a 30-yard point. So I mean, those are different stages. I mean, if I was trained from 10 years to do seven volley, maybe I was good in seven volley. But from 14 onwards, I started practicing. Uh, One of my first coaches in Barcelona was Joan Balsels, and he was a seven volleyer. So I mean, Sergio Casal also served and volleyed. Emilio Sanchez also served. Like, they're all top doubles players and singles players. So I've been learning the seven volley for the last 3-4 years. Like from 14, I've been learning it, and then I slowly started implementing it when I was 16, 17 in the futures, and that's how it got better. I think it's all practice.
So we have Nandan Bal, and he was also ranked somewhere in the 140 or something in the world, and he was also a seven volleyer.
Yeah,
Just for information.
I trained under Nandan sir. Me and Mohit also went and trained with Nandan sir for a few months, and it was, yeah, we used to volley a lot. We used to and I still remember, he didn't miss one volley when he was at the net. Nandan sir, yeah,
Yeah.
the great coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question for you comes about what Vishwadeep mentioned about your match against Silic. Yeah. So you lost him the previous time, I think a bit tamely. Like, yeah, he beat you a little comfortably.
3 and 4, yeah.
3. Okay. The next time you played him, you had your chance to beat him. Yeah. Now, did you change any tactic, or is just your execution was better that day?
No, sir. I watched that match at least 10 times by myself, the match which I lost. And then we all watched it, myself, Rohit Rajpal sir and Zishan sir, once, like 2 days before I knew I was going to play. But I watched this match at least 10 times before. And, every time I saw, I was taking down notes, I could see something different, where the pattern he was using. I feel also, in the top level, the most important thing is to, watch others' matches, watch your matches to know, what you're good at. And I think all these small things matter a lot, because on big points, they go to their favorite serves. They go to their favorite patterns, and I also executed it very well. I stayed back, I sliced, I went in, I tried to make him move in the short angles and then play it deep. My main goal was to not play that many balls to his hand, to the middle. I was trying to open up the court, spread the balls, and try to serve a lot of first serves, and always stay positive. That is the key thing which was told to me, and which I also believed in. And I think, except for those 1 or 2 points here and there, I had him that day. But again, he's a great, he's a champion. So I mean, I gave it all for the country, like always, and I fell short by a few points.
Okay. So Ram, another thing I wanted to ask you is, you are a very versatile player, as in you could perform on grass and you can also perform on clay courts. Yeah, can you tell us how you adapt to these slower and faster conditions, or do you make any changes to your tactics?
So there's advantage on training on slow clay court is that if you can play on the clay, you really get stronger. And then I mean, because I volley a lot, I go in a lot. I mean, when it's really fast, if you can play in a court which is really fast, then you can adapt to anything, or vice versa if it's very slow. So if you're going for a tournament, I would say at least get to the tournament like at least 2-3 days before. That's the only way I adapt. And I feel mine plays a big role. You have to be confident in whichever surface you play, and you have to believe that you can win on any surface on any given day. Even if you're not playing good, if you keep trying, you get your rhythm back, and you can do it. So I feel you know uh, adapting to any, like, you played tennis, like I've played tennis for so many years, so I should be able, and I can, my mind would agree to it. Like, uh, I play a few balls, and then I feel that I can, because it's the same for the other guy. It's going to be tough for him. He's also struggling. So I mean, you always try to take the positives from every situation and build on it till you win the match.
Okay. So also then, does your tactic also change based on the ball, because you get different types of ball in different
Yes.
tournaments?
Yes, when I feel, yeah, I mean, not by big margin, but when the balls are really heavy and big, fluffy, I try to swing at it more. When the balls are, flying, I try to reduce the speed, reduce my backswing. But these are all minor, things, like, which when we play, you kind of adapt to. And I mean, also, when you're playing, which is working for you on that day. So maybe I saw in volley, and I'm like, "Oof, I'm not able to get that many points." So I got to go back to my basics, and then try to then implement it the other way. Like, I have to mix up something. I have to reduce the speed, come in faster to the net. It can be anything, but when you're in the changeover, you have to think about these things. I mean, to get the focus back. uh, but I feel staying positive is the key. Like, even if you're down love 4, love 3, uh, there's so many matches with changes, because everyone has their time in the match. Like, they go high, and then when they're low, you can go high. So I mean, you have to wait for the right chances, and I mean, staying positive is the key.
Okay. So, uh, so that's the reason why you need to arrive at the venue a couple of days earlier to, get adapted to the
Yeah,
conditions.
I
You
feel
will
it's a
also have
really,
an,
really important thing,
yeah.
sir. Like, to, arrive early to the tournament, practice a few days, play a few sets with the other players, fellow players. Try to see, how the court plays, how the ball plays, because every week is a different court, different ball. Sun is on your face, when you're playing. So try to play during different timings. Try to play on the match courts. Try to do everything which is possible. When you're playing the first point, you should be, I'm ready. So that's the goal.
Okay. Sometimes when the conditions are windy, so sometimes do you go and check if, when I'm serving from this side, if I'm with the wind or against the wind? And do you do any, anything to adapt to that?
Yes, yes. When I warm up, and when it's like, I played a lot of matches in Christian Tennis Center, and this was when I was like 10, 11 years, and yeah, I think it plays a big role to see the wind conditions, how it's from where it's flowing. I mean, it's really, really important, these small things, because and with the wind, I try to slice a lot. I try to I try to take speed off, and from the against the wind, I mean, drop shot really helps, lobs really help, because it's not going to fly out. And but when it's windy, it's very important to keep it simple, to keep a lot of balls in and play, because and don't go for lines. At least stay 3-4 feet away from the lines, play through the middle, that it's the same for other guy. So those are a few things I would change.
Okay. And you will also change your tactics, or you'll have to respond in a certain way based on the opponent's style. So can you tell us what you do when your opponent is playing a pure counter-punching style? He's just trying to get you into long rallies and weigh you down.
I would stay with him for the first few games, because I don't want to give him a feeling where I don't want to rally. I I I would let him know that it's fine to rally, but at the same time, I would try to pull him in. I would try to surprise him with a serve and volley. Like, I would try to keep him not comfortable at all. Like, I try to mix up the heights, the lengths. And one of the main things would be to try and pull him in after like a 10-11 ball rally, just to keep him aware that, and then try to pull him in, and then you go in also. There's so many plays which you can do on a player. And during the rallies, you also will find out, where he is comfortable, which angles he's playing more. He's liking the forehand cross courts or backhand. Uh, like one of the most important things to not keep him settled. Like trying to change something here and there with the game you have. And I think and on big points, no matter the way he plays, you try to play the way you want to play. You dictate.
Absolutely. Yes. That is going to be my next question.
So,
I was going to ask you, how do you balance between doing what the opponent doesn't like doing and then doing what you have programmed to do, what you're good at doing? You know what I mean? So also, I'll rephrase the question. Uh, you would like to do what the opponent doesn't like to do, and if it is in your strength, that's exactly what you do. At the same time, you'll also want to surprise your opponent, right? So how do you balance this in the match? How much do you do this? Is there a percentage?
it totally comes down to the feeling of that day, sir. Because when you start playing the match, sometimes you start slow. So when you're starting the match, you try to you start with playing your game, the game which you know how to play. And then slowly, once the match keeps getting in, you keep seeing a lot of small things. When you serve a wide serve, and if the return doesn't come back, you have the point there. So you try, keep him guessing. You go to his favorite side when you're 40 love. You go to his weaker side when you're 30-40. I mean, you give him, like, you play the way he wants, maybe when you're 40-15 up on your serve. And you make him play your way when you're 30-40 up, when you're 30-40 down. So you kind of mix it up. And which there are like 2-3 points in each set, which is the key. So like a break point on a serve, which I have only one, I would take a chance and go for my shots. Or if I feel I can, I can rally and get the point, I would just stay with them. I would it's very important to stay with what you plan. Like 1 second or 5 seconds before the point, you're going to say something to yourself, like you're going to hit the return, or you're going to stay, you're going to go 3 feet back, loop it. So there's so many things. You're going to chip and charge. He has no idea, but it's very risky. So you got to be up for it. And then if you lose the point, you have to keep going. You got to mix up the things and patterns. I think the number one is to play your game, and then comes the mix up. For what he doesn't want to play, what you want him to see, like you want to see in him. Can you hit this? Can you hit that? Like you keep asking him questions. That's how it works.
Okay, Ram. Ram, we are running out of time. I wanted to ask you about your tactics against the serve and volley, against an aggressive baseline, a guy who runs to the net and stuff. But we'll take a couple of questions from the candidates, and then we'll have to wind up to open the platform for Nandan. There's this, where is he? Punar Basin. He wants to know that left-handers seem to have an advantage, and it's so difficult to find the left-handed players to practice with. So how do you overcome this, and what is the tactic you have to play against these guys?
Nowadays, you have a lot of left-handers. So when you go to a Grand Slam tournament, there's half of them are left-handers. So I feel, it's the same plan. The only thing is that the serve comes in the other angle. I mean, it's really tough. Left-handers have an advantage on the serve. I totally agree. But you also adapt. It's the same thing what you do, but you open up the forehand side and then go to the backhand. So when you play against right-handers, you open up the forehand side on the other way. So the most important shot here is the backhand cross court when you play against left-handers. Because you're going to keep rallying this way, or with your forehand to their backhand, or from your backhand to their backhand. So you got to open. So the one who opens the court first has the advantage. I think, and that's the key. And then you got to focus on your serve and return.
Right. Absolutely. So, Ram, one last question.
What do you think, sir, about left-handers?
About left-handers?
Yeah.
Your basic pattern changes. That's what I would say. We don't have time for that, but I'll just mention one or two. Normally, you would try to engage on a backhand-to-backhand cross with the opponent on a right-hander, where when you're playing a left-hander, you'll have to change direction with your backhand to force him to play the backhand. And then normally with the right-hander, the basic pattern will be you will play the forehand cross once, and then you'll change direction to go to his weaker side. But when you're playing a left-hander, you can continue at the crosscourt. But it also depends on if the left-hander is stronger off his backhand or forehand. So you have to take that into account and then decide your basic shot selection, win a rally situation, and then take it forward.
I mean, one more thing, when you ask like how much percent will you change for that question, I feel it all depends on your confidence. Like, even when you're confident, you still feel that you can go to your strength and win the point. And it works most of the times. I mean, it's all about how you feel on the day. The return is going to come back, but you're going to make the volley on the open court. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So thanks a lot, Ram. We ran out of time. We took a minute extra, actually.
Okay.
So it was wonderful having you here. And then thanks again for sharing your thoughts so honestly and, being forthwith with all the information that you could share. You're not holding back on anything, which is fantastic. And I hope all the coaches can benefit from what you said so that they can take it forward to their students. And then we'll have a lot more players like you coming up in the future.
Thank you very much, Suresh sir. And I also want to thank Nandan